Hey folks, want to talk a little bit today about preventing cheating in composition classes. Most faculty think this is the single biggest problem they run into, and I don't think it really needs to be. So let's get started. Tip number one, use a plagiarism checker. And this ultimately isn't for your use. This is not designed such that you can catch the students plagiarizing. It's designed for their use. Plagiarism checkers are best used as teaching tools. Ultimately, if you put that power in their hands and allow them to be able to take a look at their own paper, they can take a look and say, oh, actually, what I did here wasn't paraphrasing. It really was a direct quote that I just didn't cite. Almost every plagiarism checker, we use Turnitin, coupled with Desire to Learn at my campus, gives you an opportunity to allow the students to see their own reports. And it's the first thing I do, and I tell them, look, I'm not out here to catch you. This is for you to be able to help yourself, and encourage all my students to put their papers through plagiarism checkers and see what they have to say. Tip number two, use unique readings. What I've got here is a text called This is Water by David Foster Wallace. It's based upon his commencement speech at Kenyon College. It's one of the single most used readings in freshman composition classes. Ultimately, if you're using an essay that everybody else is using, how hard is it going to be for students to find papers written about that essay? Okay, let's contrast that with something else. Say current articles out of the New Yorker. What are the chances a student can plagiarize from another paper on an article that was written in the past week? Ultimately, not very much. Yes, that does require that we as faculty members work to recreate our syllabi every semester, but ultimately it's going to reduce the chances that a student has got options when it comes to plagiarizing. Tip number three, tie assignments to those texts. Ultimately, if you ask them to write a paper about an abstract concept or something from which they could pull a text from absolutely everywhere, or in this case, write about an analysis of a song, it's very easy to go and find a copy of a paper that someone else has already written and simply cut and paste it. If we're having students write essays about the texts that we've already discussed here that are a week, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months old, it's going to be far, far more difficult for them to be able to find anything about those, any other essays written on those texts. And a real bonus here is that all composition research shows that students actually do better when working with specific text rather than abstract concepts when it comes to writing. And finally, identify those students who are struggling. Ultimately, the students who plagiarize are virtually always the ones who have tried to write a good paper a few times and have not had success, or they feel like they're not getting any better. If you can identify those students who are stressed out and worried about their grade, that you can pretty easily head that off and reduce the likelihood that any of your students are going to plagiarize. As always, if you have any questions, never hesitate to let me know.